What's going on, guys? Hope y'all are having a great day out there today. Guys, today we are going to a little review comparison, probably a little more of a comparison of some of the different remotes that I have and have used, and my general opinion and preference on what I like using on my cars. Recently there's actually been a lot of questions and a lot of people asking about, what remote do I like the best? Which one do I recommend? And which ones do I not like? And I think even before this video ends, you guys can put the conclusion on my least favorite remote. But we're going to go over a few comparisons, and I just remembered there's something missing out of here. I didn't even want to put it in the lineup, but hold on a second. Alright guys, so I decided I'd add pretty much everything in here that I have used or have on a car or have had on a car. Guess that's kind of redundant, but anyway. So I also threw up here the Traxxas TQ transmitter. This transmitter is the stock transmitter you get with most of your RTR Traxxas cars. This is the one I have for my Traxxas X-Max, and I've been running it on my dirty my dirty X-Max, as you can see. I haven't changed this transmitter out. I've honestly been really happy with this transmitter. Works great. It's got good response time to it. I got no complaints with it, and I haven't really honestly had any interest in changing this out. I honestly like the transmitter. I don't like, as you can see, to hold my phone mount, I have to put a big wad of tape at the end to hold it on there. But besides that, it's a good transmitter. I like it. It's got all your normal basic controls, all of your steering trim, your multifunction. They also have the self-writing feature on these, which I don't use, and I've had that question asked many times. Why am I going and walking and trying to get my X-Max? Why don't I use the self-writing feature? Well, in the past, on some of the other Traxxas cars that I've used it on, I've had bad luck with tires exploding and using that feature. So I'd rather just walk the 50 feet or whatever it might be and get my car rather than blowing a tire apart. So the Traxxas transmitter, I got no complaints with it. Like the transmitter, it's got a decent feel to it. It's not too heavy, so that one, in my opinion, is a winner. I see no reason to change that out. Now, we're all going to come down to one final thing on why I'm trying to go with mostly everything on one transmitter, and we'll get to that in a second. But, so, on to my least favorite transmitter, and I'm sure many of you know this, and many of you have experienced the same thing, the dreaded STX2. How could you make a controller so terrible? Well, I don't know. Apparently they found a way to do it, because this thing is just an absolute horrid piece of junk. It's got terrible response time, terrible range. It's just overall a total piece of garbage. Now, what they started using on the newer RTR models, now the STX2 down there, where it belongs, where it should be in the trash can over there actually, but they stopped using that and they went to this SLT3 transmitter. A little lighter. It's got a really nice feel to it also. For the RTR transmitter, I got no complaints with this one either. It works great. It's got decent response time to it. It's not the best, but it's not bad. And, if you're not wanting to spend the money on, an upgraded transmitter at a time, honestly, these work pretty decent. And these also have all your normal controls with your steering rates, your throttle, and your trims and all that stuff. So it also has the third channel over here that you can hook up to your receiver to control lights or something. It's an activating switch, so you can use it for pretty much anything. It's your auxiliary on the receiver, and it also has all your normal switches on it to be able to turn your throttle down from 50% to 75% to 100, and you can reverse your throttle or your steering rate. So these transmitters, not the best, but they're okay. Now, on the larger cars and some of the, I guess, the 6S line and the bigger line and the 8S line, they've been using now the Spektrum DX3. Now, I was using this for a long time on my Creighton 8S and on the the Outcast 8S EXB. But I had been swapping everything. I used them a few times on there, and then right at about the same time that they started using this control is whenever I bought the Spektrum DX5C, and we'll get to this one in a minute. But I use the transmitter. You know, it's got all the smart battery technology stuff on here and your normal controls. You know, your steering and your throttle to reverse it, your limiting switch, and of course all of your AVC and steering trims and all that. And the AVC, honestly, you know, I'm not a fan of the AVC. In any car that I've ever had this on, I have turned it pretty much down or completely off because it acts funny and I don't like the way that it steers. And I've learned that lesson with the gyros too on the Limitless, that I'm not a gyro person. But anyway, if you're wanting to stick with this transmitter for a while, you know, it's not a bad transmitter at all. It's got better response time than the SLT3 for sure. It's got a good feel to it. It's got a little more weight there. Feels good in the hand, but, you know, decent transmitter for coming with the RTRs. Can't complain about it. So, overall, not a bad transmitter. Now we're kind of moving into more of the aftermarket, you know, besides what comes with the normal RTR cars. Now, this thing was one of my early on transmitters, which is the Sky GT3B transmitter. You know, this transmitter seemed okay when I first got it. Now, I don't know if things went downhill with it, something went wrong, but it is just absolutely terrible to use now. I think a lot of it just is because I got used to better transmitters, like the DX5, or even the Sky, the GT5 one. I mean, the response time on this thing is absolutely terrible. I mean, I would sooner use, you know, the SLT3 or one of these before using this Sky GT3 transmitter. The reaction time on it is just horrendous, guys. And, you know, that's why I stopped using it on every car. I just got everything off of this thing because it was causing crashes and accidents and causing problems, and I just had to eliminate it out of anything that I used. But I'll be right back for a second. I'm going to go grab a drink. All right, well, I feel better now. I had to take a drink. I was getting dry mouth here from all the talking. Hopefully this isn't boring. You know, like I said, a bunch of guys have been asking me about, you know, different transmitters and curiosity on what I like and what I don't like. So I figured I'd throw this video together. It's a nice little working in the shop today and getting batteries charged up and all that good stuff. But anyway, guys, if you're running the Sky GT3, you know, I didn't realize how terrible this was until I started using other controllers, is I guess the best way to say it. And it's extremely heavy. You know, this thing takes 8 batteries in the bottom, and between the weight of the batteries and the transmitter itself, I mean, this thing tires your arm out after a while. So, I mean, compared to like the GT5, I mean, it is over half the weight difference. You know, it's got some weight to this thing. So I have pretty much taken that out of my lineup on wanting to use it on anything, because it's just between the weight and the response time, it causes wrecks, it causes accidents, and it's not worth it. So after I got tired of this thing, I decided to next go to and try out the Sky GT5. Now, this transmitter worked out a lot better. Had a lot better range, had a little fold-up antenna. You know, and it had a lot more controls. You know, you were able to add, well, this one, the GT3, you could also add up to, I believe it's 10 models. And you could do the same thing on the GT5 here. But as you can see, you know, you had a lot more options with being able to, a lot more control on this one, and had the gyro built into it, which I didn't really use anyway. But you have more control option depending on what you're doing and what car you're going to use it on. You know, I like this controller at first, but then I started running into some weird problems with it. And a lot of it wasn't so much the transmitter, it was the receivers with this unit. They were not very robust. They did not put up with moisture at all very well, and they did not put up with hard landings very well. They were breaking on me left and right. I was having a lot of these receivers die on me all the time. You know, the transmitter I did not mind, but the receivers, I just got tired of changing them out. I had too many issues with them, and that's why I kind of started steering away from this. I don't even know if I have any cars left on this transmitter anymore, to be honest with you, because pretty much everything you see, you know, is either Arma or the Axial, which is still a Spektrum product. So I have my DX5 on that, or my X-Max is just on the TQ transmitter, because honestly, I like the transmitter and I don't mind it at all. So I have pretty much steered everything away from the Fly Sky stuff. You know, like I said, guys, this isn't a bad transmitter. It's just wasn't happy with receivers. And again, this is just my personal preference on what I've learned through trying different ones and using different transmitters. You know, and realizing it, initially you might think, oh, no, this transmitter's fine. And then you actually go use a little better one. It's like, oh, well, wow, there was a huge difference. So, again, just my preference. But it does have a lot more options with it on the DT5. You know, you got your steering rate, you got your extra channels, you got channel 3, channel 4 here. You know, it was a nice transmitter. I did not mind using this, but the receivers were garbage. A lot worse than the ones I had on the GT3. You know, the receivers on this one held up half decent, but the transmitter was terrible. And the unfortunate part was they were two different receivers, so you couldn't link the GT3 transmitters to the GT5 transmitter. So that's why that whole thing kind of fell by the wayside. So after I got away from these is whenever I went to the DX5. Now, like I was saying, guys, you know, most of my cars are Armas, and it's just not that I'm an Arma fanboy. I like my Armas. I do love my Armas. I have pretty good luck with them. I love my Traxxas X Max. That thing is a blast. I have a good time with it. But, you know, I had some other Traxxas cars, and I had bad luck with them. And I just haven't found another Traxxas yet that really piques my interest. You know, that's not to say that it might not happen here soon. I might find something else. But, you know, at the moment, anyway, most of them are all the Spektrum products. So I decided to pick this transmitter up, the DX5C. And one great thing about this was obviously I could link it to all of my receivers. There was like one of the receivers, and I'm trying to remember honestly, guys, which one it was, but it was in one of the very early Arma receivers, would not link to the DX5. But pretty much anything you're going to grab at this point, you know, Big Rock, Typhons, Outcast, Creightons, any of those, all the receivers in those can link right up to the DX5. And that way I have pretty much, I mean, I would say 90% of my cars are all on this transmitter now. You know, you just pop the lid open on the receiver box, link it up to this thing, and away you go. You know, now you got all your cars on one transmitter. Now, there is a plus and a minus to having everything on one transmitter. And my pluses, obviously, is that I have everything on one transmitter. I can take one transmitter with me and run pretty much all of my cars. Downside of that, this transmitter breaks, I now have no transmitter to run any of my cars. So at some point I might buy a backup one of these just to have an extra one in case that happens. But that's the good side and the downside of having everything on one transmitter, obviously, is, you know, you have everything in one place, but if that one place goes down, you're kind of SOL at that point. But overall, this transmitter, the DX5, guys, I have been extremely happy with this thing. You know, the response times on it's really good, really happy with it. It's got a nice feel to it with kind of the textured rubber back on it. My phone clamp and camera clamp clamps nicely to it. As you can see, the wear marks in there. The range on this has been great. You know, I was running this for a while on the Arma Limitless, and, you know, was using it, was getting really good ranges with that thing. And, you know, had no issues with range problems. You know, when you pull that trigger, what you're asking it to do, it does. So, you know, if you're wanting to upgrade and get away from, you know, your initial, you know, SLT3 or your DX3, you know, your next step, I would definitely suggest, you know, the DX5C, because you can link up all your receivers to it and just go. You know, you don't have to go out and purchase a whole bunch of new receivers and everything and mess around with all that and the extra cost of that. You know, I mean, this transmitter, it's pretty easy and easy to use and pretty intuitive. You know, on the back here, it's got a rocker switch for your menu. It's got a clear button in the back. And as you can see, you know, here in the menu, you push in on the button, and now you got into all your controls. You know, your main screen, your model select, name your models, all your travels, your trims, your reverses. You know, if you need to reverse your steering or your throttle, all your different speeds, your rates. You know, there's where you bind them up. Your AVC, all that stuff. And as you can see here, under model select, you know, I have my Typhon, the Creighton 8S, the Big Rock, the Rift, the Creighton 6S, the Creighton EXB, the Outcast 6S, the Creighton 4S, and the Outcast 8S, which was the newest one. And then you just go down here and hit add new, and you know, go through the process. You just add it, name it, and then go to your bind process, and away you go. But you know, it's easy because a lot of the controls on this are very easily accessible for your steering and your throttle controls to be able to center them, you know, mess with your steering. Because you can see here, I gotta back out of here. But you know, these little side switches right here, you bump them up and down, and now I'm able to change my steering trims real quick. You know, really easily on the fly. So I'm really happy with this transmitter. Have no complaints about it at all. Works great. The range is great on it. Response is time. So if you're looking to upgrade away from the stock RTR ones, this would definitely be a great step. So highly suggest that remote, guys. So moving on, we'll get to that last. So if you're not wanting to, and you're needing to start from, you know, basically getting just a whole new transmitter receiver, and wanting to get something better but not wanting to break the bank, guys, you cannot go wrong with the Surpass Hobbies or the Dumbo, which are, these are the exact same remotes. The Surpass Hobby and the Dumbo remotes are the same ones. And these transmitters, I mean, honestly, are great. Incredible range on these things. Really good range. Really good response times on them. You know, these are a great upgrade. You know, say your system came with one of those dreaded DX2s, and you want to get away from that and just change that out, I would definitely suggest one of these Dumbo remotes. I mean, I think you can get these anywhere from 30 to 40 bucks, you know, on Amazon or eBay, and overall, great remote. You got your channel 3 button down here. You can hook that up to your aux. It has all of your normal trim buttons underneath the lid here. You know, all your reverses, all your steering centers, your throttle rates, and then you also have, like, this one is a 6 channel, so you also have your channel 5 and 6 control up on the top here, so you can adjust these. And you can set these controls up differently. But guys, you cannot go wrong with one of these Dumbo Surpass Hobby transmitters. You've been really happy with this thing. And this thing actually right now is actually on my Big Rock, because I ended up killing the receiver in my Big Rock on one of the nasty landings at the skate park. I didn't have a receiver at the moment to throw it back on the DX5, so I put this receiver and transmitter combo on the Big Rock, and it's awesome. I love it. At some point, I am going to put, you know, another Spektrum receiver in there and get it back on the DX5, but, you know, these are a great remote, guys. You cannot go wrong with one of these at all. You'd be very happy with these. I mean, compared to the stock RTRs, you know, the response times and the control is just great. Nice feel to them. They're not heavy at all. Another great one to add to the collection. Now, this was the newest one that I just got, and I got this for the sole purpose of the Arma Limitless. Now, I was wanting to obviously have, you know, I talked to a lot of people that are in the speedrun game and, you know, been using these, and everybody kind of had to give me the same opinion, that these RadioLink 6-channel combos, it's the RC6GS. And this is the V2. This is what I bought just to use on the Limitless. And, you know, it has a gyro built into it, and I have the gyro, I think, turned off or turned on to 1 right now. I'm realizing that definitely I don't like the gyros. They cause more harm than good, at least what I'm experiencing so far. There might be a better way to set up the gyro, or a better gyro, but at least the ones that come with, you know, most combos in speedrun cars don't seem to work exactly the way you hope they would. But anyway, I bought this transmitter mainly for 2 things: for reaction time and distance, because this thing has got some incredible range on it. Now, compared to these 2 on range, this definitely has a little better range over the DX5C. As far as response times, I mean, this one definitely, you know, if I had to give these 2 a number on range and reaction time, I would give this an 8, and I would give this a 10. Now, I'm not saying that this is the best and it's the 10 out of 10, but I'm just giving them a number. That, I mean, they're pretty close and comparable, but the RadioLink definitely is a very nice feel to it. I mean, you got all your controls up here for your, different switches. You can set these switches up for different things. There's switch A, B, and C. This variable is for your I think you can adjust something to do with the gyro, but I have the gyro turned off, so it's kind of irrelevant. And there's lots of different switches on here you can set up for different things. It also has, similar to the Spektrum, you can do your throttle and your steering trims, very easily with a little click of the button on these. And it works really great. I'm really happy with this transmitter so far, and the range is phenomenal. I mean, this thing, at least most of the times I've been using it so far on the Limitless, this thing's still working, and I can't even see the car anymore. So range is not a problem with this. If you're looking for something long range, it's definitely a great radio. It's got great response time, and I mean, it'd be good on the Basher. It's just, I haven't put this on a Basher yet, because it just turned into my Limitless remote. Is strictly what it is right now. But you can add other receivers and use this on multiple things. The only thing I have noticed, and it might be just me, and maybe I'm rough on things, but I have never had very good luck with radios with foldable antennas in the field, like when you're at bashing, because you drop them, you set them down, you're out there ripping the car around. I like more of the fixed antennas, something that you can't break off, just for a basher, because honestly, a basher, in my opinion, I mean, this is strictly my opinion, and people might disagree with this, but I don't see why you need a radio like this, or some of these really expensive remotes, these $200-300 remotes on a basher. I personally, I mean, if you have one and you throw it on there, fine. But to go out and spend that money on a basher remote seems just overkill. I mean, there's no need for it. You don't need that very, very fine, precise, like racer remotes are. Obviously, if you're racing and you're using them for that, makes total sense. You spend the money, you keep that thing lanyard to your neck, and, that's all good. But on a basher, I mean, any one of these remotes, the DX5, the Dumbo, or the, Surpass, either one of these, are great remotes. It's definitely the biggest things that you need to improve from the stock RTR ones as you get better in running and get more air control is this response time. Because honestly, guys, if you've been running, say, the DX or the SLT3 or the DX2 down there, and you've gotten good with your air control with it, and you go to the DX5, you need to kind of, the first run or two odd, be careful, because it's going to react a lot faster, and you're going to notice a huge difference. You're going to be able, the instant you pull that trigger, you're going to think that the thing's got different power, and it's going to react a lot different. So definitely, if you're moving from one of the very, beginner, I won't even say beginner, but, one of the lower end RTR transmitters to something that's going to have good response time to it, you're definitely going to notice a big difference, because every time I've tried, in the past, going from this transmitter and then going to mine, it was just night and day difference. Going from the DX5 to the SLT3 is like, I noticed the worst difference with this. It's just like, come on, go. Or steering is just so sloppy and just not reacting when you want. So I don't know. This is, like I said, guys, this is just my opinion on the radios, and these are all the ones that I have had and used, over the last couple years, especially, and I've had the most luck with, and what has worked well for me. Something else might be working fine for you, and that's good. This is just my opinion, and everybody's got their opinion and what they like and what they don't like. So I'm just throwing mine out there for anybody that might be interested or want to know, what I've been using or what I like. But I think that is going to do it. I know we didn't go over like every single feature on all these radios, but I don't want to get this video too ridiculously long. But just kind of wanted to give an overview of all the remotes that I have, and my opinion on them. And if you're looking for something for an upgrade on, maybe steer you in the right direction. Long story short, the Sky GT3 I would avoid due to weight and response time. GT5, not a bad transmitter, but doesn't like water or really heavy landings, at least the experience I had with it. But good radio, liked it. RadioLink, great transmitter. These are around like 80 to 90 bucks, so they're not even a bad cost. I mean, these are actually a cheap radio for what you get. So you can't beat it, and they got great range on them. The Spektrum DX5, awesome radio. Been very happy with this thing, and it's just a great basher remote. You know, I have it out there in the dirt, the dust, moisture all the time, and the thing has performed for me flawlessly. In fact, I had this with me the day that the motocross track flooded, and this thing got wet. I pulled the batteries out of it, let it dry up, never had any issues with it. But you know, the Dumbo Surpass remotes are a great you know, change out remote. You know, if you're just looking to upgrade just a single car and go with something better, this would be my first choice, hands down, if you're wanting to change out your receiver along with it. Traxxas TQ transmitter, great. Have no complaints with those things at all. They work great with the Traxxas. And like I said, these SLT3s are far better than the DX2s that they came with originally. And the same with these DX3s. You know, you get a little more function and a little bit better transmitter with the 6S and the 8S cars, because these tend to come with the 3S cars. But anyway, guys, I know this video has gotten long enough about controllers, but I hope anybody that's out there trying to find a transmitter for their cars and trying to make a decision on what they want to get, this might help you or point you in the right direction at least. So, but I appreciate you all tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. But that is going to do it for the video today, guys. So until next time, y'all, be safe, be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.